So remember a year or two ago? Well, maybe it was 3, 5, or 8 years ago because we're all living in a time warp bubble of hell now from which none of us will truly ever escape. Pandemic. Remember back in the year 2000 when everyone was worried about Facebook and Google and all the other big tech companies and the government was threatening to break them up and shit? Whatever happened to that, huh? I mean, yeah, I know that was just a one-time temper tantrum thrown by the crypt-keeping elites that run this country because Facebook messed with their precious election cycle that one time and things didn't go exactly as planned, but now everything's back to normal, so if you think about who still holds the real power over your life, I'm pretty sure it's still Meta, Google, and Apple.
Damn it.
Especially if you make your living off the internet like I do, and most people probably eventually will to some extent. But for some reason, nobody cares about that anymore, and everyone's gone full panic mode over AI for God knows what reasons. And yeah, it's stupid. You're being stupid. I don't explain to you exactly why you're being stupid, but it's not going to matter because you're going to go on believing whatever stupid thing it is you already believe. But I got to try anyway for the one guy out there who still has what we used to call in the olden days an open mind.
Cut me a piece.
First off, AI is not going to replace anything. Well, not much anything that matters anyway. AI is not going to take your job, well, at least not anytime soon anyway. I saw a post on Reddit about how AI is being used in a Wendy's to take orders and all the ensuing moral panic that caused, but how's that any different from the self-serve kiosks that have already been around for like a decade? I mean, honestly, that just sounds like the same exact thing, but with extra steps. But if you do any kind of physical work, for example, construction, healthcare, stocking shelves, cleaning houses, and yes, even driving because self-driving cars still aren't here. Or even just working in a crappy restaurant, as most of us have done at some point. But unless Boston Dynamics has something hidden up their sleeves that we don't know about, I don't think AI is coming to take any of those jobs anytime soon. Robots, imbued with artificial intelligence, might keep your great-grandchildren from doing those jobs like 150 years from now, but neural nets that need to be spoon-fed digital information that's been carefully prepared for them, there's only certain kinds of work that kind of thing can replace. But as far as the truly repetitive tasks go, automation, not AI, might still replace those jobs. But I think we've already been through that panic in like the 90s or something. So what work could AI replace in like the near future? Programmers? No, if you understand anything about programming, it's not just about banging out lines of code like a Capuchin monkey might. It's about feedback and testing and debugging, and it's going to be a long, long time before AI reaches that level of intelligence, trust me. Now don't get me wrong, it's probably going to automate or eliminate some lower level code, but probably nothing that wasn't already outsourced to India like a decade ago. No, what's going to happen is the good programmers are going to get even more productive, and so the crappy ones aren't going to have jobs anymore.
We're hauling ass.
Which is like the general trend of all technology, right? Artists? Well, okay then, but what's an artist? Is an artist someone who comes up with creative ideas and executes them using their talent and skills, or is an artist just their fucking paintbrush? Because even if all you're doing is prompt engineering, that's still something, isn't it? It might be a newer skill that the general population doesn't understand or appreciate yet, but it's still a skill nonetheless. And it's not like Midjourney is going to grow arms and legs and start entering art competitions all by itself, so I think what people really mean is that artists who use AI are going to replace artists who don't. Which is the fucking general trend of all technology, is it not? And from that perspective, AI just becomes yet another tool in a multi-thousand years long procession of tools. And if you still want to make an oil painting by hand, guess what? The value is still there in doing the thing by hand. AI and robots can't ever really replace that because so much of the value is in the process and not necessarily in the results. You know, like with sports. You don't watch those just to see who wins. You kind of watch it because you enjoy a good game. Lawyers. God willing, you can wackify all those sneaky snakes as far as I'm concerned. Why not throw in all the politicians while you're at it? And I mean like all the politicians, the Republicans, the Dum-Dum-crats, and America's French parties like the Greens, Peace and Freedoms, and hell, even the Libertarians, because why not? We don't need them anymore. All those people are is a constant drain on society and the efforts of everyday hardworking people like you and me. I don't know about you, but I'll be out at the polls voting for John T. Tin Man when the time comes. T1000. Teachers. Even when they finally do get around to building the robot school marms, And let's face it, this will be decades after they build these sex and companion bots.
Gigolo Joe, what do you
You think Sally PTA is gonna want her kids to be taught by them, to feel their cold steel embrace as they pat Johnny Goodnicks on the back for learning the quadratic formula? Somehow I think not. If people were open to digital and virtual learning, it would be happening now, outside of executives and stockbrokers. God willing and hallelujah, but I think people have already been using AI trading bots for like a decade or more, and with all the important decisions, financial, strategic, or otherwise, end up getting made by AI. Maybe give Isaac Asimov's classic short story, The Machine That Won the War, a read sometime, huh? Writers and Hollywood people. God willing again and amen, at least to the second part. Now, as far as writers go, how many great human writers have there ever really been anyway? A few dozen? So what if after years of training an AI manages to convince itself that it's Robo Dostoevsky? It'll be a few dozen great human writers and a mad Russian robot. Who gives a shit? As far as all the other stuff that gets written goes, stuff that gets turned into movies and TV shows and such, it all feels like it's written by an AI or me, baby. And all the really good stuff you're never gonna hear about anyway because it's not commercial enough. The same goes for musicians or whatever, because if you're already producing art just to appeal to the masses, then you're already kind of an algorithm, man. And I could go on and on here, but the point is that AI is not going to replace anything anytime soon that already wasn't kind of replaceable and mediocre. It might eventually take your job, but you're probably not going to get a pink slip tomorrow. It's probably going to be more like a gradual transition. As in, you won't apply for these jobs anymore because they won't exist, and so you'll just apply for AI prompt engineer or AI database assistant instead. Even with the image generation stuff now, you got people using different LoRa's, ControlNet, mixing and matching in different checkpoints, and I'm not saying it's an art form or a job just quite yet, but it's probably on its way. I know that every human life is precious and unique and blah 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 kumbaya, but don't you think we're choking on our own mediocrity just a tad bit too much here? Don't you think the world's already full of horrible, lazy content, the detritus of TikTok and Instagram? Too many YouTube jackasses sitting on their floors talking into their cameras about whatever? Currently, mostly clickbait content about how AI is going to destroy the world. But is AI really going to change any of that? Is it going to have any kind of meaningful impact on the human condition? Or is it just going to be the same laid-back Larrys and sleepy Susans?
Don't nobody talk to my man like that. You better get your ass out of my house.
He's making the same kind of lazy content, only now they got AI do half the work for them so they can afford to be even lazier. Now, on the other hand, some people will use it to create amazing things, just like some people create amazing things now with the tools that everyone already has access to, either because they're low-key geniuses, creative and unique, or maybe they just work harder at it than other people. And that's the key point here. When everyone has access to AI and AI tools, then they just become the foundation, the beginning, the starting point. You're going to have to figure out how to move beyond that if you hope to create anything of value or distinction.
Well, let's take it back to the tech companies. The cool thing about AI technology right now is that it's free and open source, at least for the moment. And people can have long, boring discussions about the ethics of training on publicly available data and whether or not you can copyright style. Spoiler, you can't. But I'm running Stable Diffusion locally, running all these AI tools locally. They're all on GitHub, and the hard work right now is being done by researchers for free, but that's not gonna last long, is it?
Google will scoop it up and monetize it. Apple, Meta, they're all already trying to figure out how to incorporate all these AI tools in their platforms and extract money from them. But even your smaller companies, you got Blackmagic sticking their neural engine in DaVinci Resolve, Adobe with Firefly, and probably every company working in tech's going to have a gander at AI to see what it can do for them. And that's where you're going to get your inequities and dystopias from, not from the fucking open source technology itself. But I don't think we've really even begun to see what this AI tech can do. So far it's just being used to make high-level memes like Wes Anderson movie parodies. And I guess the point there is that the guy wants $300 to show you how to make AI video memes. Don't buy into it, everyone. Subscribe to my channel or a Matt Wolf or something, and we'll figure out all this AI stuff together for free. It'll be fun. And am I jealous? Damn right I'm jealous. When people make low effort trash and then it pops off and gets millions of views, and some of the goddamn videos I make, that Apple one took like 6 weeks of work, and that's not, I worked on it a little bit after school each day. No, that's like 250 hours went into that thing because I'm a stubborn idiot. But now I sound like a hypocrite, don't I? If something is entertaining or people find value in it, then at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much effort or work went into it, does it? I think that's something we're all going to have to start to get used to with this AI stuff.
But I think I'm already starting to see that the true potential with all these AI algorithms, at least for the moment, isn't necessarily in creating fresh new tools, but in adding them to existing ones in order to improve them. Besides Blackmagic and Adobe, take a look at what Epic's doing with Unreal 5 right now. They're adding machine learning to Unreal Engine, so in a couple weeks, anybody with an iPhone is going to be able to animate digital assets like their puppets for free, and that's going to be game-changing, but we're getting game-changing shit in AI like every other day now.
Are you staring at me?
When tools remain free and open, then no one entity can profit off them exclusively or create a monopoly, but once these companies get their mitts on it and figure out how to transmorphize it into something they can charge you $20 a month for, or get you addicted to the free versions like they already have with YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Google Mail, then, you know, that's when you're really screwed. Well, not any more than you already were, but that's kind of the end game for AI or any technology that humans develop. And that's why people keep on inventing new technologies, because the old ones get locked up by greedy, greasy weasels and stagnate like an MFA working at Starbucks. It's never really a problem with the technology itself, it's what people decide to do with it and the effect that has on the have and have-nots.
What am I really even talking about here? Capitalism? Capitalism is just a buzzword teenage doomers on Reddit use to describe anything they don't like about America. I'm talking about the human condition here, all economic systems. Look, in any system you're gonna have people who wind up with more power, authority, and resources than others, and that's just how it goes. That's human nature, you assholes. Every system is flawed because its individual components are often unpredictable. Even written into the fabric of the universe itself, here you have a planet, and here you have 1,000,000 miles to nothing, and it was all written down by the Big Bang, baby, billions of years ago. Crash, crash, crash. I want to cry, but I gotta laugh. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't try to balance out the differences, and we've been working on that problem for thousands of years. But I don't think it's as simple as switching out your economic system and then human society just somehow finally magically starts to work.
If anything, advanced AI might finally make things like centralized planning possible, so something like communism might actually become viable, Skynet. But I'm not sure what that world would be like or if I'd want to live in it, because you gotta be sure, damn sure, that when you tear something down, you don't just replace it with something worse.
So cool.
I mean, at best, you got a 50-50 shot at making things better, right? We can always go back to the Middle Ages. But let's put current systems aside, because using AI to try to improve upon human solutions that already aren't working seems like kind of a waste of it. But you could use AI for something like economics. You can model advanced systems of exchange with it, see what it comes up with, because whether or not AI can be better at finding solutions than humans, you can certainly feed it more data than any one human could ever hope to process, and I think that's the real advantage of AI here.
Open your boxes.
Because I don't think it's going to be politicians offering up cookies like UBI that actually managed to come up with better systems. In the three-body problem, they model a computer using humans as transistors or whatever, and if we're talking about processing power, then I think AI has the potential to be the next order of magnitude up from what a computer can do, if you get my analogy there. So there's at least one thing AI can maybe help us with, but no one wants to see the potential in anything, do they? They only want to focus on the negatives.
Most people are just too worried about how things are going to affect them in the here and now, and I totally get it. Most of us are just trying to scrape by without something coming along to completely upend our entire way of life, but that's just not how the world works. Humans have been designing, shaping, destroying, and rebuilding our world and our environment since the first caveman smacked a woolly mammoth on his ass and called it Charlie.
Hey!
It's what we do. It's what we've always done. Adapt. And that's good because that's the price of progress.
Cool.
You wouldn't be here today with all the modern advantages and convenience you enjoy, you spoiled little brats, without a million nameless sacrifices from everyone who came before you. Yet it never seems to be enough, does it? There's a reason for that. Without strife, without challenge, without sacrifice, your life just becomes boring, meaningless, and empty. You start using TikTok, social media, eating junk food you don't need, getting addicted to drugs and alcohol, and that's the real poison in the well, isn't it? No matter how good our lives get or how high the quality of life is, it's never going to be enough because we're never going to be satisfied. It's not in our nature to be satisfied. And some people will say, well, I got addicted to meth or ham sandwiches or whatever because life is hard and I couldn't cope with it. And yeah, life is hard and hard to deal with, but technology fixes some of our problems and introduces new ones. That's how it's always been. But there wasn't some magical time in our history where life was perfect and balanced for everyone. For most people, it's always just been a miserable, poverty-laden struggle. So if you get scared about new technologies, things like AI, just take a deep breath, relax, and realize that we've all been through this before. Or at least our ancestors have. So it's really nothing new and nothing to be worried about. Until actual gray goo comes along to swallow up your actual heart, brain, and soul, we'll all just adapt.
Blow it out your ass.
It's fine. Really it is. Don't be a scared little cockroach running around in the darkness. Be a brave little human squatting on the savannah near a fire that you built with your own two hands. And you enjoy the warmth from that fire, so long as you know and are fully aware that the comfort it provides is only so good because you can't have it all the time.